Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from SegaCityUniverse.com and GravesideEntertainment.com, and this is a video response to a great YouTuber that I've mentioned a couple times before. Very nice guy, real gentleman, and I really like his videos a lot. I watch them all the time, even his review on the Bible. So anyway, his voice is that good that even if he talks about the Bible, as boring as it may sound, I still like to listen. So between him and Sandom Todd, they both have just soothing voices. So anyway, not to get too much off topic, InterGhost is who I'm talking about. InterGhost did a video question. I think his was a response, but I'm going to respond to his because I know him. It was, if you can go back in time and change something in terms of gaming, what would you change, why, how? He picked a few items. I'm going to try and stick to just one. I would probably go back in time and give Sega a heads up not to spread themselves so thin in terms of Sega CD, 32X, 3 different models of the Genesis, the Sega CDX, the Sega Nomad. You know, the Saturn came out, I think, a month before the 32X came out in Japan. So I would have said, you know what, the Sega CD was an interesting peripheral. I love it. Don't get me wrong. That I would have liked still to come out. But the 32X, there really wasn't much of a need for it at that point, especially coming out after the Saturn in Japan. I think the Dreamcast was ahead of its time in ways, and that probably didn't do well for a couple of reasons. But, you know, I'm not going to get into why they failed, but I'm glad they're still making software when we have them there at all. Either way, I would go back in time and try and just explain to Sega not to spread themselves so thin and to focus more on what they had then, not go out and do the 32X and all that stuff they did. I love Sega. Obviously, my username on here, Sega City Universe, and I mean, I like Nintendo too, don't get me wrong, but I just think Sega appealed to me more. It still does, and their titles they come out with I really enjoy. So I would have liked to see them still in the hardware market. I think their consoles were always very, very well built. I think they didn't break as much or as easily. So they just looked cool. I liked the styling of their consoles. I liked their games. I thought their commercials and their advertising were very funny and amazing, whether it be the, you know, say it Sega, the black guy doing the Toe Jam and Earl, like funky lingo was kind of funny back then. The weird things that would just scream Sega out of nowhere, like that. I don't condone this by any means, but the dead squirrel that would scream Sega, and the guy who was blown into the wall and his face was all fucked up and he was screaming Sega after looking at the Sega CD commercial. And one of my favorites is Sega Sanshiro, the Sega Saturn mascot, the Japanese guy who was beating the shit out of little children and making them play Sega Saturn on Christmas and crap. So check him out. He's on my channel. I have his commercials on here. So Sega's just always been my favorite. I thought they were really, really cool, really interesting. So InterGhost, my response is I would go back in time and help Sega not fail. But interesting question, and I like to see what other people say. So if you guys want to maybe make a comment or do a video response, even better, let me know what you would do. You go back in time and change what in terms of video game history? Would you make sure E.T. wasn't buried in the landfills and take them all for yourselves? So thanks for watching, guys. It's Vampire Mike from SegaCityUniverse.com and GravesideEntertainment.com. Be good.